I have been looking at the UFO phenomenon for several decades. I have come to the conclusion that it is composed of a subset of disturbing activities perpetrated by the occupants of these vehicles, the extraterrestrials. I have given examples on my website, Badaliens.info. Just to summarise, these activities are abductions, animal and human mutilations, people going missing, and attacks by UFOs. When I look at UFO conferences, I find it strange that there are few, if any, speakers commenting on these issues. Having thought about it, I think it reflects how human nature works in the face of something mysterious. It will ignore those areas that it finds unpalatable. How many UFO podcasts have there been on human mutilations, for example? You don't have to spend too long in ufology to come across a strong New Age element. Many talk about ascension and entering the fifth dimension. Impart your hard-earned dollars and we'll give you the information. These people, although well-meaning, have a totally skewed viewpoint on ETs. It's all love and light. There's no bad side to it. It's a bit like someone reviewing a city and ignoring the rough areas. Having spent several years on UFO Twitter, I found a distinct apathy for discussing ET agenda. I could categorise people on there as follows. Number 1, having no interest in discussing alien intent. Number 2, it's a mixed bag of good and bad. But if you then ask what percentage are bad, you'll get a really low figure. Third category, they must be positive, as they would have taken us over by now otherwise. And number 4, the rarest category, we should be cautious as they appear secretive and nefarious. This is Stephen Greer. He has popularised the activity of CE5, which involves using meditation protocols to summon UFOs in the sky. Its advocates believe by thinking positively and projecting a higher consciousness, UFOs will appear. Accounts suggest some results have been achieved from this. In my opinion, though, this is a highly risky endeavour. One doesn't really know what is occupying the craft or what their intent is. People wouldn't get into a car with some random stranger. Why throw away discernment with ETs? UFOs at times seem to like to play with our religious symbology, possibly for their own ends. These two UFO illustrations are from sightings in China in the 1700s. In 1917, we have the Fatima incident, where a spinning shiny disc was seen in the sky, and an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared before several children giving prophecies about the future. I see a parallel with the alien abductee Chris Bledsoe and his visions of what he calls the Lady, a spiritual type entity imparted in prophecies. What better way is there than subjugating someone by showing them religious symbolism, a sneaky way for manipulative ETs to win over individuals, pacifying them. The net result is the abductee goes on to spread the good word and attracts more followers. In the background, the ETs carry on with their covert programs. It then becomes increasingly difficult for people like myself, who've got a dissenting voice, to get their views across. This is Marshall Vine Summers. He claims to be in contact with a friendly, spiritually advanced group of ETs and an angelic presence. I would expect you to be highly cautious of someone like the claims of Marshall, but the briefings he received are very detailed on the ET agenda, and are poles apart from what you hear at UFO conferences from experiences. Sometimes the truth hurts, and Marshall's message isn't what a lot of people want to hear, but we have to be mature and show discernment. Mankind will ignore at its peril the activities that are being carried out by ETs. We are showing a grave disservice to traumatised abductees and the families of those that have been taken or murdered by these beings. Marshall's message isn't all bad, however. He talks about the innate spiritual power that is present in all individuals. I'll leave you with some video clips on Marshall talking about the ET Pacification Program, or to put it more crudely, how people are being conned.
Well, first, it's important for me to distinguish the visitation from an intervention. In a visitation, we know who is visiting, we know why they're visiting, we have some kind of relationship with them we're aware of. We're aware of their intentions. We've established some degree of trust or confidence in them. They respect our boundaries. They act graciously in our midst. They do not interfere in our affairs or seek to learn our secrets, just like a guest to your home. They're a guest to your home because you recognize them, you're willing to have them visit you, you have enough trust and confidence in their presence to allow that to happen. But what we're dealing with meets none of those criteria. There are forces here that are here without our permission. They're not revealing who they are or why they're here. They're acting at will within our own space, with their own environment. They're carrying out very dangerous activities and harmful activities in the world today, and have been for decades now. And their overall plan and purpose here, they're not revealing. Meanwhile, they're sowing seeds of persuasion to convince those people whom they contact that they're here for our benefit, or recommend or represent our saviors in some way, or they can give us what we cannot give ourselves, and so forth. So there's a massive pacification program going on as part of the intervention itself. A program of persuasion, a program of submission. Something is happening that will affect the destiny of every person on earth. But they're not revealing anything about themselves. And this is the biggest conspiracy there could possibly be on planet Earth. That we have a force demonstrating greater technology than we have, who understand life in the universe, who are here for their own purposes, which they will not reveal, who are working in secret in a very deceptive manner. So we cannot consider this a visitation if we have any kind of understanding of what is happening in the world today. You know, a lot of New Age thinking is very much from the intervention. The idea that everything happens for a purpose, where did that come from? That everything happens to you happens for a purpose? That's what's called pacification. That's not education. That makes you open to everything. Oh, whatever happens, I'll be open to that. I'll be open to this. I'll be open to that. I'll be open to intervention. Great. It's here for a purpose. Must be happening for a purpose. Everything in life happens for my purpose, for my well-being. No sensible person would ever think like that. And no person who's ever been out in the world and done anything would ever think like that. But many people think like that. So that makes them an easy target of the intervention itself. And just our religious aspirations of bliss and peace and equanimity. I mean, whatever happened to service and contribution, right? And giving and personal sacrifice, and whatever happened to the core eternal values of religion? They've been displaced by the search for personal desire and equanimity and peace and happiness. That's strange. That takes people out of life. The very people who could be sensitive enough to discern the presence of the intervention, who could be free enough culturally to face it and oppose it, are the first ones to be turned. They become easy targets for this kind of persuasion. Give them everything, or promise them everything. They're not giving them anything. Promise them everything they want that they can't get here on earth, and they will become your advocates and your supporters. This is real. This is happening. I'm one of the few, maybe the only spiritual teacher in the world who's speaking out against the intervention. There are other people speaking out against it, but their numbers are very small. Why is that? What is it that makes us so easy to convince by forces we don't even understand, for whom we have no real relationship with? It's a question. And the answer to that question is the powerful knowledge that lives within us, the part of us that cannot be deceived or manipulated. Because people feel weak and small, they keep wanting to follow something. And if they're persuaded that their leaders are corrupt, their institutions are corrupt, then they'll seek leaders and institutions elsewhere in the universe. You create a vacuum, it gets filled by the intervention. The importance of learning the way of knowledge is that who you are is not your social mind, the mind that has been created and influenced since the day you were born. And the deeper mind within you is the eternal part of you. This is at the core of all religion and beyond religion. The deeper mind cannot be deceived. It knows who you are, why you're here, and what is happening in the world, and how to respond. The intervention cannot overcome knowledge. So, and this, of course, is the answer to all conspiracy theories. This is the answer to human manipulation. I mean, this is really where people become powerful, because they have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. They cannot be deceived. So at the very core of us is the answer.